So very good evening, good afternoon, and good morning to all my students who have been a part in today's math session. Welcome, guys. Thank you so much for joining me in time today. So today we are starting with very important conceptuals in Montessori. We have completed our other practicals like EPL. We have seen sensorial education for children. We have seen language skills and language skill development for our younger ones. And today we're going to be working towards mathematical skills, like how math can be used in our early child education. As I said previously, we would be working with children of 2 to 6 years of age. Predominantly, the conceptuals of math practicals or any other conceptuals in our math, we would be working for our children right from the early ages itself. We know that even in case if you look into your books, you should be able to relate it to, and many of them have already gone through and practice for their tests also. So this becomes like an introductory session to each one of you. But in case if there are any newcomers in my batch today, I just wanted to tell you, like, math is always all around you. We agree on that? And somebody comes and asks you, how old are you? What is today's date? How is the weather? Where are you going? When are you coming back? What is the date today? How long will you take to reach to a particular location, right? So everywhere the math is there. We agree on that. So it's related to distance, it's related to time, it's related to measurements, it's related to numbers and all of that. So numbers itself, it cannot be defined. And we have to be working with real objects, especially when it comes back to helping the children to understand. What do I mean by real objects? I give them objects for children to count. So they pick up any of the objects, like it could be like in case if I have beads, I give them those objects and sequentially ask the children to count. They go like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then I can give them real objects. Whenever I'm going for shopping, I can ask them, can you find a blue color, 5 of them? Can you bring 5 kgs of this particular fruit, and something like that, right? So all these things are relating to helping the child to get the idea of math. So we are working on number computation over here. What is my child getting the ability? They get the ability to count. They get the ability to compute. When I say compute, they can add, they can relate, they can subtract. Like, I have 5 of them and I add 5 more. So what do I get? So I'm trying to work on computing this particular thing. So it, like, I understand it's addition. Then I say I have 5 apples. I gave 1 to Shweta. I gave 1 to Uma. So how many are remaining? So the child is still computing on taking away conceptions, and they get into the knowledge of subtraction over there. So not only that, the child will also start to understand the numerical relationship. So this is very, very important. So this is how you begin initially into your classes. You don't get into introducing numbers in the beginning. So this is one part of it. Now, getting into materials itself, like in Montessori materials, how do I begin with? So I would start now dividing my entire math portion into 3 parts. The first part will have numbers from 1 to 10. The second part is where I would have my decimal system. The third part is where I would get into a little bit more complex computations, wherein I help the child to understand spaces. I help the child to understand the other kind of numerical patterns. It could be skip counting, it could be addition game, it could be subtraction game, right? So it's more of that. But in my first part, only numbers from 1 to 10. So I teach children how to count. I show them how those numbers look like from 1 to 10. Then I again introduce the concept of zero using one material. Then I work with simple number rods and cards wherein the child understands how big the numbers are growing in sequential. Then I work with cards and counters so the child understands, is my number an even number or an odd number? Okay, this is my first set of materials. The second set of materials, what I would work over here is like I consider them as arithmetic learning. Okay, now here is where, as a teacher, I would be helping the children to understand positive numbers. I don't say it's a positive number, but in general, as teachers, you should know that we are computing using only positive numbers over here. That means I help the child to understand decimal system. Ones, tens, hundreds, thousands. Only till there. We don't get into 10,000s, 1 lakh, 10 lakh. Okay, we don't get into all of that. It's only up to ones to thousands is what you would do in your preschool. Now, when I introduce my decimal system, can I do operations? I can do addition, I can do subtraction, I can do multiplication, and I can do division. So I can do 2,345 plus 4,556. So I can work on these 4-digit number arithmetic computations. All of this is there for me, right? So the child understands all your instructions so clearly. They understand the materials also so clearly. As teacher, you will be using simple language to communicate with children. And by the age of 4, your child is ready for mathematics. When I say ready for mathematics, they can start writing the numbers from 1 to 100. Even if you tell them write number 400, they know how to write 400. They can give you a quantity of 400. But much before that, you would only do simple oral computations for your children. Okay. So this has set stages, and every stage you will group children into smaller groups, or you can give them individual work. So that is up to the teacher. Some materials you can give them to work individually. Some materials you are grouping them into smaller exercises. So depending on that, the focus of how the child is trying to work would start working on. Okay. So beyond 10, it's all decimal system that we're going to be introducing. Okay. So please note down the first material that we're going to be using in our today's day is called
1 to 10.
1 to 10. Yes. Yes, we're going to start with numbers 1 to 10. Okay, so let me quickly open my WordPad. So you have to start telling me how do I work, what do I work, and stuff like that. Okay, the first material that I would start to introduce is my numbers through 10. So what do I do here is I would start using one material. The name of the material is called number rods. Okay, can everybody see my screen I've shared? No? Okay, let me stop sharing. Multiple screens I can't share. Okay, so I would use my first material. So this is my first material. If you see, I've already arranged and sorted. So you will never get anything that has been sorted. So what is the name of this material? So the name of this material is called number rods. It's number rods. So it will have only the rods. So what as teachers you are going to work over here is you will not be introducing any of these numbers. Numbers you will not introduce initially. Okay. So you will only introduce the quantity. Always remember the quantity is what you have to introduce. That then I start counting. Now, what is the other differences that did you notice? Did you notice the first section is always red? Then is your blue. So when you count also, it will be like 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 4. Every unit is what you're going to place 2 of your fingers. You touch that particular module and then you're going to be working with your children. What is my child getting? The child is listening to what the teacher is saying. The child is hearing the counting. And at the same time, you're touching on each of your unit, which is giving me a sensory experience. Okay. So this is my first part of my learning. So what are the materials I would need? What are the materials I would need here? Can somebody tell me what materials do I need? If you have your book, you will know about it. So if you don't have your book, yeah, please look here. These are the materials that I would need. Okay. So I might my materials. Okay. Take a look. These are the materials. How many rods I would have?
10
10.
rods.
10 rods. And
Yes,
each
ma'am.
of the rods, they are identical. Okay. They look similar. But what is differing? What is changing? Their length is changing. Okay.
Yes.
Everybody agrees on that? Yes. So each of the
Yes.
rod, if you see here, they are divided into what? They are divided into red and they are divided into blue sections. If you have your book, please underline. Keep underlining because I've picked the notes from your book itself. Okay. Now, what is your shortest rod in this material? The shortest rod is your red color. The second one is twice the size of your first one. So likewise, I get into my third section, fourth section, and I start moving. Now, since I'm using this material to be done on my floor, what is the other thing I would need? I would also need a floor mat. Agree? Because we have to place it on the floor mat and we have to be working with this. Now I have my material. I know how to do it. what is the next thing that I will have to be working here? What should I do next? Presentation, right? So in your presentation, please note down, how do you present this to your child is very important. So what will the teacher tell? What will the teacher tell for all of you? The teacher will first say the name of the exercise. What is the name of this material? Teacher says, children, this is red rods. Today I'm going to introduce you red rods. Now, what is the presentation lesson? This is very important. You can put a star. So you have to introduce everything using a 3-period lesson in Montessori. What is 3-period lesson? First period, you take up a material, you put it, and you say, this is 1. This is 2. This is 3. That's your first period lesson. Second period lesson is you ask questions to the child. Children, can you show me where is 1? The child touches that. Can you show me where is this? Can you show me where's number 4? The child shows you that number. That's your second period. Third period is where you will ask question, what rod is this? When you ask what rod, what do you expect the child to answer? The child will say, ma'am, this is number 3. Ma'am, this is number 2. So you're expecting the child to answer. So 3-period lesson is a must and sure question. Okay. As somebody was asking me, Revati was asking me, like, ma'am, I don't have math questions. Revati, the first question for everyone is, with the help of Montessori, so you can all note down what kind of questions do come over here. So the question could be, with the help of Montessori, note down your first question. So your question 1 for your exams could be something like this. With the help of, they won't tell you what material it is. Montessori manipulative demonstrate using the 3-period lesson on how you introduce simple counting to children from 1 to 10. The questions can be something like this. Sometimes the question can also be direct. So they can ask you, with the help of number rods, show how you will introduce counting to children. It is direct. In the first question, they don't give you anything. So what you can do here is, like, if the first question was like this, it was only which was related to my numbers 1 and 10. So I can either use number rods, I can use number rods and cards, I can use sandpaper numbers, I can use golden beads, I can use stamp game, anything. Because it was an open question for you, 1 to 10. You can teach however you want. The only over here, the question related was any Montessori material. So you have to only use Montessori material. You can't say, I'm going to use these buttons to teach. No, it's not a Montessori material. Concepts are right, but it is not a Montessori material. But the second thing, since it was specific number rods, we have to use only the number rods to actually work with that. Okay, now you are ready for your presentation. The teacher also said, okay, children, we are going to use the 3-period lesson to work on it. Now, what is the teacher teaching here for the child? She is making sure that the child is able to read and identify every round, every rod when they are counting. This is very, very important. So the child will be able to work. So sitting position is very important. Note down, how do we sit? So how can we sit here? Now there is a position that I need to be marking. So what happens here is I would first place my sitting mat here. Now just imagine, yes. So just imagine the child is sitting here. The child is sitting here and the teacher has an option to sit here, or the teacher can sit on the other side. Okay, the teacher can be here or here. Okay, so I can have my teacher in the orange color, can be seated this side and this side. But always I will encourage the child to use the, what I could say, use the space in a rightful way. Now my child starts to arrange the materials randomly. So randomly, so I can place the rods however it is required on my mats. I pick it up. Now what I do here is, like, looking at the rods by counting, I start arranging my rods in sequence. So the child is able to now Arrange the rods in sequence where the shortest rod is towards the child and the longest rod is away from the child. Getting it, children? Sorry, students? The longest is away from you. So this
Yes,
is your presentation aspect, how you have to put your mat in this one. So we are good to go with the presentation. So what next we have from there? What is my stages? Do I have any stages in my presentation is my next possible question that I have to be asking. Yes, there are multiple stages. If at all, if you want to go by staging, my first stage is presentation stage A, wherein I have to name and count. So how do? I tell children, please come. I'm going to be helping you to count with me. So as teachers, what you do here is like, you're very much aware and you are like, you're already good to go with counting and everything is being arranged so very well and the number rods are arranged in sequence. Now what happens here? Everything is arranged. Now you simply count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Right? So everything was arranged and you started counting from 1 to 10. When this was happening, the teacher was doing something. What was that? When she was touching the rod number 1, she said, like, children, this is 1. Count with me. Then the teacher was pointing to the next one. Okay, so that is which was having on my blue on the rod 2. And she said, children, this is number 2. Okay, please ignore the numbers, okay? She said, this is 2. And then she actually counted. Then what did the teacher do? The teacher pointed to the next rod and she said, children, look at this one. We have a red, blue and a red. And they started counting 1, 2, 3. And she wants the children to focus on saying, this is 3. So for you, you have to go, this is 1, this is 2, this is 3. So eventually, I am helping my children to also work on the vocabulary. Okay, so I go on and on. I teach children the same way. Then I take out 4, 5, 6. Then I take out 6, 7, 8. And I continue for the rest. Okay, then later I take 7, 8, 9. How do I work here? What is the method that I said? I have to always introduce through what? You can't forget this. 3-period lesson. You got me? How is 3-period lesson? You got me, right? Yes. So you can say this is 1. Then I say this is 2. I say this is 2. Then I can say this is 3. You touch on each of the rods and you say this is 1, this is 2, this is 3. Can you show me where is 2? Ma'am, here is 2. Can you show me where is number 3? Here is number 3. Wonderful. So that's my second period. Now the teacher asks, what rod is this, children? Then the child is like, ma'am, this is 1. What rod is this? This is number 3. So you will continue that for all your rods. It could be anything, but you have to take 3 at a time. So this is your stage 1. Okay, what is this? Stage 1, wherein you take everything, arrange everything in sequence 1 to 10. Then you pick up the rods and then you introduce counting to children. How do you work? It's on the 3-period lesson. Clear, everyone? Now, yes.
Ma'am, 3rd period lesson was?
3rd period lesson is you ask question. What rod is this? The child will have to tell the name of it. This is number 4. This is number 5. This is number 6. See, first period, I am telling. For example, if I'm introducing new pen, the child doesn't know. So the teacher cannot explain anything. Children, do you know what is this? Maybe they don't know, right? So I have to always say in my first period. First period is not like
This is my pen.
It is never like 30 minutes of this time on. No, it is like the level at which you introduce. This is pen. Can you show me where is green pen? Can you show me where is blue pen? That's second period. Now, what pen is this? Blue pen. The child will give you the answer. That's in the 3-period lesson. Okay. So that's your first exercise, stage A. Now, stage B is considered to be as my identification. Note down, everyone. This is my next exercise. So in the same thing. So we are identifying by name here. So what do I do here is now I would need not one mat. This is something that you have to remember. So what you should do, you have to have two mats here. Why I need two mats here? Can somebody tell me? Why do I need two mats here? I will have to have two mats.
One sitting mat, one
teacher,
One teacher, one for teacher, one for this.
So,
Okay.
place
So
on
maybe I will place it like this. Okay. So maybe I'll keep one mat here and one mat here. Or however it is comfortable to you, you keep two mats. Now what you do here is like, randomly you pick up your rods, correct? So randomly you pick up your rods and you keep on one mat. Now the teacher will ask you to give me 5. Now what do the child will do? The child will go to this rod, the child will come here and they will find out which rod is number 5. But the child finds out the number 5 rod and the child arranges here. So by identifying by the name, if they are finding it difficult, the child goes slow in counting 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 and he places over there. So this is my stage B. So I would need 2 mats for this. Next is like stage C. If you see, randomly the child will have to identify my quantity. Okay. So randomly I start arranging my quantity. So how do I do this? What is the difference between my stage A and stage B? In stage A, the teacher has already given the number. Give me 5. Now in stage C, the teacher can pick up any rod and she will ask, what is this? This is one thing that you have to underline. In stage C, random identification of a quantity. What rod is this? So I can take any rod and I can ask them, what rod is this? Now the child will count and tell me, ma'am, this is number 9. Very good. So that's my stage C. Now stage D is similar to randomly picking. Stage E, if you see in your book, it is like order everything in order. So the teacher will still now go back, reshuffle everything. She wants to see whether the child knows to arrange it. So again, she will ask them to put everything in order. Okay, so all these are relevant to my first material. Okay, so that's my number rod. Now tell me, why should we do this exercise, guys? Why should we do this exercise?
ये question
to learn the number names.
Very good. So we have to learn our number names, right? So that is one thing. First thing is like I have to work on the quantity. So I know that the child knows the sequence of numbers from 1 to 10. So sequence is important. 1, 2, 3, 4. Sometimes what happened, I had a student in my class. Whenever we used to ask her to give the numbers like, 1 to 10, she used to say 1, 2, 5, 7, 8, 9, 3, 8, 6, 4, 10. And next time you tell the sequence and again you ask her, she used to jumble up the numbers so confidently and she used to say, that means the sequence of the numbers, the child was not getting it. So this is also important for us. Okay. The purpose is not only to help them to work on the quantity, but also the child should know the sequence of it. So that covers your first exercise. That's your number rods. Okay. A simple one to introduce numbers from what to what? Introduce numbers from 1 to 10. Clear, everyone?
1
Yes?
to 10.
Yes, 1 to 10,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
Now, when the children are actually doing this exercise, what they do here is like they can get through some difficulties. We agree on that because every stage the child can do some mistakes. There are some children. So whenever we are encountering mistakes, we call those mistakes as, where can the child go wrong? Will there be an error? How do I control the error? Now, this is where the teacher is going to interfere and tell me when can a child have difficulty. The child can have difficulty, say, given any rod. Now, when they're counting, what happens? Sometimes the child might miss out. Like, the child can go like, this is 1, this is 2, then she might touch here and say 3, this is 4 and 5 and 6. Correct? So they miss something. So that means the partitions, some of the partitions were missed by the child. So you have to always tell them to put their finger in between of the partitions to have a good counting and to have a correct counting. So this becomes the error of control. The next question most of you might have in your mind is like, what could be the age at which we should be using this, or what age can I give this to my students? So I always say start from 4 years onwards, or much before also you can begin this exercise. Okay, so that is my first exercise, number rods. Now take down your second exercise. Second exercise is again your sandpaper numbers. Sandpaper numbers. I'm going a little quick. I hope it's okay. It's fine, right? Please cross-check with your books also. And yeah, take a look through. Please go through your second material. So that's my sandpaper numbers. So what are these sandpapers numbers and how do they look? Okay, so let me give you a quick example of how they look. Now these are this green cardboard mounted kind of materials. I could say they look something like this. So the numbers are written on that and they're quite granular. Now, if at all, if I have to describe that material, how many numbers are there in that? How many numbers are there? So I would have numbers from what to what? I would have number cutouts from
0 to 9.
0 to 9. Okay. So these 0 to 9 numbers, they are cut and we would mount them on a green board. Okay. So we will put them on a green board. Now I will have 0 also in this, but for time being, I will not use 0 to introduce children. This is one thing that you have to remember whenever you are using sandpaper numbers as a beginner's material. 0 will be introduced when? Only when you are introducing another Montessori material, which is called spindle box. Okay. Now, spindle box is a material that you use to introduce the concept of 0. Only after that is what you will introduce this number 0. So what you do over here, we will see now. Okay. So I want everybody to disconnect and quickly log in back within 30 seconds.